Mr. Kalish, would you call the roll, please?
Carroll, Murphy Lopez, Van Landite, Seep, McKee, Brewer,
Here.
Luck, Manning, Gotchel, Glassbrenner, Rudersdorf, Gentis, Turk, Cosgrove, Frank, Severson,
Present.
Williamson,
Here.
Cooey, Nelson.
Here.
Call, and McGuire. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Mr. Kalish, are you aware of anyone online for an invocation tonight?
We have Larry Engels here from 5 Points Lutheran.
Larry,
No problem.
Larry, you weren't close enough. I couldn't see you. Thank you, Larry. Would you please lead us in an invocation? Amen. Thank you. Mr. Kalish, would you lead us in the pledge, please? And then after that, would you then read the complete agenda?
Yes. All right, this will be the agenda for the December 14th, 2021 Richland County Board meeting. It's a 40-point agenda, roll call, invocation, pledge of allegiance, approve agenda, approve the minutes of the October 26th meeting, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Corey and Bethany Thompson in the town of Richland, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Max Gossel and Bethany Hanthorne in the town of Marshall, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Jim and Sandra Mathis in the town of Forest, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Nick and Melissa Hillisham in the town of Marshall, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Carrie and Lori Norman in the town of Willow and Rockbridge, ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to James and Marilyn and Austin Williamson in the town of Eagle, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Gregory Greenheck in the town of Buena Vista, report on petitions for zoning amendments received since the last county board session, report on rezoning petitions recommended for denial by the Zoning and Land Information Committee, an ordinance amending the Richland County Ordinance Number 5 regarding animal units, an ordinance prohibiting livestock running at large, a resolution authorizing the Land Records Office to apply for and receive a grant from the Wisconsin Land Records Board, a resolution approving a contract for building inspector services under the Uniform Dwelling Code, resolution approving a 5-year contract with stray, neglected, or abandoned animals, a resolution approving collaboration between the Richland County Board of Supervisors and the Richland County Sheriff to conduct biannual alcohol age compliance checks of licensed liquor establishments, a resolution approving a 3-year jail maintenance contract for the Sheriff's Department, a resolution granting an access easement to the Richland Hospital, Inc. across the Pine River Recreational Trail, a resolution celebrating the 75th anniversary of Salt Weedle Store, a resolution celebrating the Native American Heritage Month, a resolution extending the time period for the Strategic Planning Committee to develop and present a finalized county strategic plan, a resolution creating a countywide branding project and process, a resolution authorizing Richland County to enter into settlement agreements, agree to the terms of the MOU, allocating settlement proceeds, and authorizing entry into MOU with the Attorney General, resolution authorizing the Tri-County Airport Commission to proceed with acquisition of property and property right-of-way for the airport drainage project, a resolution granting Tri-County drainage system easement to Hartung Farms, a resolution approving a contract for air ventilation cleaning in the courthouse building, a resolution approving the purchase and installation of air purification equipment, a resolution amending the Richland County Employee Handbook, Pine Valley Addendum, Health and Human Services Addendum, and FMLA policy, a resolution approving wage schedule updates and placement of exception employees, resolution approving 2022 budget approved reclassifications, resolution awarding recipients of the Richland County Early Childhood Education and Child Care Providers ARPA grant, a resolution approving a new 2022 contract for the Health and Human Services Department, appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees, reports, which is the 2020 audit review and report, correspondence, and adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Kalish. You've heard the agenda. Would someone make a motion, please? Mr. Williamson, seconded by Mr. McKee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have an agenda. Thank you. Now I'm going to exercise chairman prerogative here and ask Mr. Langreck to introduce item number 38. And I believe we have our official auditor on the line, and we'll take this first so he won't have to listen to our entire meeting. Mr. Langreck.
Mr. Chair, with us tonight is Mr. Bill Moyleen from Johnson Block, our auditors. He's delivered to us our 2020 audit report, and he is here tonight to give a very brief run through on the highlights of that audit report. Bill, if you can hear me, I've got the presentation currently shared on there if you'd like to direct me to which page and such that you'd like to talk on, and I would turn it over to yourself.
Okay, you got me?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Well, I'm here tonight in December, to present financial statements as of December 31st, 2020. Financial highlights, Clint, are on page 2. Our report is within the bound document that have been previously submitted to the county for review and acceptance. Our opinion is on the first few pages of the financial statements, and we have an unmodified opinion. That is the desired opinion that states that we believe the financial statements are free from material misstatement. The scope of our audit includes all funds and activities of the county. A separate exit conference was held for the Pine Valley Community Village. That audit, those figures are included within this countywide financial statement. The separate audit communications document is designed specifically for county board and should be read in conjunction with the financial statements. And the regulatory reporting for the county with the Department of Revenue has also been prepared and submitted. And then, like as I said, we've also issued separately the Pine Valley Community Community Village financial statements. Page 3, some of the financial highlights. The county's 2020 governmental funds total fund balance decreased by $75,898. The general fund balance increased by $226,000. General funds total fund balance was $5,138,000 at December 31st, 2020, which represents approximately 3.5 months of total expenditures. Tax certificates, which is one of the most significant receivables held by the county, was $604,000 in 2020 compared to $687,000 in 2019. So collections increased. We have lower receivables. Countywide sales tax revenue, like other counties, the Richland County has utilized the 1.5% sales tax. Total 2020 revenues were $1,296,000, and that compares to $1,185,000 in the prior year, 2019. The county is in compliance with state-imposed property tax limits. During 2020, long-term debt was issued of $6,720,000, and Pine Valley Community Village recorded operating revenues of just over $8.2 million, with an operating loss of $1.5 million. Those losses are anticipated and were offset by county property tax levy of $1.4 million and $647,000 of supplemental payments. Page 4 is the statement of expenditures and changes in fund balances for the governmental funds. The county reports 3 major funds, and the rest are reported in aggregate as non-major funds. Total revenues in 2020 were $18,034,000 compared to $17,844,000 in the prior year. Total expense was $20,791,000 compared to $18,034,000 in the prior year. Total other financing sources and uses this year, we have more activity related to long-term, so new long-term debt for capital projects, as well as new long-term debt which refinanced existing long-term debt. So we had total proceeds of $5.7 million, refundings of debt of $2.7 million, transfers between funds. So total other financing sources were $2,681,000. Fund balance to start the year was $8,230,000. We increased fund balance related to a prior period adjustment, $126,000, which was a receivable that was adjusted, which increased fund balance. So beginning fund balance decreased slightly from 8.3 million to just under 8.3 million at 8,281,000. The general fund budget to actual is required supplemental information in the financial statements. The general fund has total budgeted revenue of $16,580,000 and actual revenues were $17,398,000. So that's a favorable difference of $817,000. Total budgeted expense was $16,818,000. Actual expense was $17,371,000. So that's an unfavorable difference of $553,000. So favorable differences in our revenues offset our unfavorable differences in expense. We budgeted $237,000 in transfers, and our actual was $200,000. So overall, we had a balanced budget for general fund, and actual it was an increase of $226,000. So fund balance went from $4,785,000 in general fund to $5,138,000 at the end of the year. One of the things we've chatted about in prior years has been the fund balance compared to the county's policy for minimum fund balance of 25%. And with this increase in fund balance, we're well within our 25% minimum fund balance requirements. So what's made up of, fund balance is made up of 4 categories on page 6 there. Yep. Total non-spendable fund balance of $761,000 compared to $858,000 in the prior year. That makes up about 9% of our total fund balance. Restricted fund balance at $3,138,000 makes up 38% of our total fund balance. Assigned fund balances, which have been set aside for specific purpose, of $25,000 makes up a little less than 1%. And unassigned fund balance of $4,355,000 makes up about 53% of total fund balance. On page 7 is a visual representation of our 2020 revenues. 34% of our revenues are intergovernmental related. Those are federal and state grants at $6,080,000. Taxes makes up 38% of total revenues. Public charges for services makes up 24% of total revenues. And the final 4% is miscellaneous and interest and licenses, permits, penalties, and forfeitures. And at the bottom, there's just some comments on the actual cash flow of when those revenues are received. No changes from prior year. Shared taxes makes up the most significant part of our intergovernmental revenues. About 90% of that, $1,133,000, is received in November. And the human services are received as the CARS reporting is submitted to the state, the federal and state government. Those are paid just monthly based on contract. Page 8, property taxes have increased approximately 30% over the 6-year period presented. That increase is primarily driven by long-term debt required payments as they've come due. Page 9, taxes receivable balances. Over time, the taxes receivable that we reported on the financial statements has decreased from around 830,000 in 2014 to 600, just over 600,000 in 2020. And that, a couple things, we just are experiencing higher collection rates recently than we have in the past. So that's why that taxes receivable balance, even though property taxes have gone up, our collection has actually gone up as well. So that's good. An equalized value of property over the 8 years presented, property values in the county have increased by about 22.5%. And other counties are also experiencing growth over that period, but 22.5% is, that's good for Richland County. The trend in sales tax revenue. County, like other counties, uses that 1.5% sales tax to help limit property tax increases. And we've been seeing that kind of hike up every year. It's been kind of nice. In 2019, total sales taxes were $1,185,000. That increased to about $1.3 million in 2020. And comparing the 2021 collections to the 2020 collections, to date, the county has received January through September sales tax payments. And in 2020, those sales tax payments were about $950,000. And in 2021, we're at $1.1 million. So we're going to expect to see that sales tax number continue that upward trend. Page 12, just a visual representation of the total expense for the county. Fairly atypical compared to prior years. Health and Human Services makes up 42% of total expense, public safety at 20%, and general government at 11%. We have capital outlay makes up 13% of the total expense. We had some projects related to that debt service, and debt service is actually higher than normal as well, at least when it comes to the refinancing. So debt service principal payments of $713,000 those are the planned anticipated payments this year. Page 13, statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position for the proprietary funds. The county has one proprietary fund, an enterprise fund, the Pine Valley Community Village, and an internal service fund, which is the highway department. Total operating revenues and expenses resulted in an operating loss for both of those funds, 1.5 million for Pine Valley and 1.7 million for the highway department. Those losses were both offset by anticipated, those anticipated net losses were offset by property tax levy and supplemental payments. So total net income for Pine Valley was $524,000, and for the highway department it was $981,000. So both of the net positions for the enterprise and internal service funds increased. Pine Valley increased from 1.6 to 2.1 million, and the highway department from 4.3 to almost 5.3 million. Changes in long-term obligations on page 14. The county started the year with 4.4 million outstanding in direct borrowing and bonds. We had new long-term debt and refinancing bonds that were issued, as well as bond premium in 2020. So that we had 6.9 million of increases. We made scheduled payments and refunding payments during 2020. So total principal payments were made of 4.4 million. So the end of the year balance was 6,917,000 in total bonds and direct borrowings. Vested compensated absences represents what we owe our employees in paid time off. We started the year at 530,000, and that liability was adjusted up 82,000 to 613,000. For the business type activities, that represents Pine Valley. Pine Valley had 20,174,000 outstanding to begin the year, made scheduled payments of 940,000, which left 19,234,000 outstanding at the end of the year. And similarly, vested compensated absences. We started the year at 443,000. That was adjusted up to 473,000. And the GO debt limit for the county is 63,535,000. Debt subject to that total debt limit is 25,650,000. So the county has approximately 60% of debt capacity remaining. Are there any questions on the financial statements or the presentation?
Mr. Moylan,
Yes.
Chairman Brewer, what did you say our debt capacity was? I missed that.
Total debt capacity is 63.5 million. Or that, excuse me, that's the total debt limit. And your capacity is the difference, the 63 million minus the 25.6 million. So you have about 60% of that total is remaining.
Right, thank you. All in all, the audit seems good to me, and several
Yeah.
high points would be our ability to stay within our 3-month capacity, I guess we'd call it. And then the fact that sales tax revenues and property tax, that we saw the trend earlier through our treasurer's reports, but you have just verified what we suspected, that property tax collection has gone well, and contrary
Yes.
to what some experts told us, the sales tax has gone well as well.
Yes, surprisingly, the sales tax has been a consistent increaser for Richland County. So that's definitely providing a lot of assistance, you know.
Right. Anyone else have questions? Yes, Mr. Carroll, Steve Carroll.
I did not find the presentation in my iPad folder. Am I looking in the wrong place?
I've got it. I can drop it into the folder. 1 second here.
It would have made it a lot easier to follow along if I'd had it on my iPad.
That's not your fault, Bill. That's ours.
Yep, that's mine, Mr. Chair.
So, anyone else have a comment or a question here while we have Bill on the line? Is it appropriate to entertain a motion to accept the report?
You may, it's not a resolution, but you can call a voice vote to accept it.
I think that'd be appropriate. May I have a motion to accept this report? Mr. McKee, seconded by Mr. Williamson. All those in favor of accepting the report signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The report is accepted. Thank you, Bill.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate you bumping me up. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much.
You bet. Okay, I see that the chairman skipped over the approval of the October 26th meeting minutes. So I'd entertain a motion to accept those, please. Mrs. Rudersdorf, seconded by Mr. Williamson again. All those in favor of accepting those minutes as published signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have approved the minutes of October. Okay, getting back to our regular agenda then, we have a number of ordinances relating to property. And the first one is an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Corey and Bethany Thompson in the town of Richland. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 21-30, amendment number 537 to Richland County zoning ordinance number 5, that the 1.36 acre parcel belonging to Corey and Bethany Thompson in the town of Richland is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry to in residential 2 to residential 2 district. The ordinance shall be effective on December 14th, and this is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Severson, seconded by Ms. Gentis. All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance is approved. Adopted. Number 7, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Max Gossel and Beth Henthorn in the town of Marshall. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-31, amendment number 538 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the real estate in the town of Marshall is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry district to the residential 2 district, which is composed of lot 1, certified survey map number 1176 is recorded in volume 11, and then certified survey maps at page 17 and 18 at the Richland County Register of Deeds. This ordinance shall be effective on December 14th, 2021, and is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cosgrove, and seconded by Ms. Glassbrenner. And I neglected to ask for background. Is Mike here tonight? Mike Bindle? Yes, there he is. Give us some background, please, sir.
The background on this parcel is that they are separating out the house from the rest of the land. The parcel that's being separated out is one being rezoned.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor of this ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance is adopted. Number 8, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Jim and Sandra Mattis in the town of Forest. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 21-32, amendment number 539 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the 15.62 acre parcel belonging to Jim and Sandra Mathis and in the town of Forest is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry district to ag and residential district. The ordinance shall be effective today, December 14th, 2021, is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Call, seconded by Mr. Williamson. Do we have some background on this, sir, Mr. Bindle?
There is 2 parcels being created. Derek read the first one of 15.62 acres being zoned to ag residential. There is a second parcel that's also being rezoned that's going to R2. That's later down in the ordinance. But it's 2 lots being created for family members.
Thank you. All those in favor of this ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance is adopted. Number 9, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Nick and Melissa Hillesheim in the town of Marshall. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 21-33, amendment number 540 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the 13 acre parcel belonging to Nick and Melissa Hillesheim in the town of Marshall is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry district to the ag and residential district. This ordinance shall be effective December 14th, 2021, is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mr. Carrie Severson, seconded by Mrs. Glassrenner. Background?
Background on this. Can you hear me? Background on this is that they are adding 11 acres to their 2 acres that they currently have.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of the ordinance signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have an ordinance. Number 10, an ordinance related to a parcel belonging to Carrie and Laurie Norman in the town of Willow and Rockridge. Mr. Kalish.
Ordinance number 21-34, amendment number 541 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the following 37.6 acre parcel belonging to Carrie and Laurie Norman in the town of Willow and Rockridge is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry district to ag and residential. The ordinance shall be effective December 14, 2021, is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
Thank you. What's your pleasure? Mr. Van Landite, and seconded by Williamson. Background?
Background on this one is it's one lot right now, and they're going to split into 3 different lots, creating lots less than 35 acres.
And this is in 2 different townships. One is zoned and county zoned and one is not. Is that correct?
Right, one is town zoned and the other one is county zoned. I talked to the town of Rockbridge and they're okay with the zoning staying the same in their township.
Thank you. You've heard the ordinance, you've heard the background, you've heard the complication, but we've covered it. What's your pleasure? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance is adopted. Number 11, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to James and Marilyn and Austin Williamson in the town of Eagle. Mr. Kalish.
This will be ordinance number 21-35, amendment number 542 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the following described real estate in the town of Marshall is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry district to the commercial district. This ordinance shall be effective December 14th and is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
Mr. Williamson. Okay. This is number 11. Mine reads Town of Eagle.
On the bottom. On the bottom.
Bottom, okay. The actual ordinance I see, I'm not looking at I'm only looking at, okay. Can we accept that as a typo, Mr. Wendell?
Yes, I think now that we've spoken to it on the record, I believe that that can be corrected later on.
Okay, we've corrected that. Did you have another comment then, Steve? You abstained from voting?
Yeah, that's my mom and dad and my son involved in this. So I abstained from voting the day that it was that zoning, and I will abstain tonight as well.
Okay, but you're not opposed to it, probably, are you?
No. It's been a long process.
Okay, okay. I'll leave it at that. All right, Mr. Williamson will be abstaining. All those in favor?
No, we need a first and second.
Oh, we haven't first and seconded.
No.
Mrs. Gentis makes the motion, seconded by Mr. Goncho. Okay, do we have any background other than Steve?
So for the background on this, lot was actually created back in the 1990s. They purchased after the lot was created, but it was never rezoned. And it is being zoned commercial because they are getting a conditional use permit for stockyard because there's barring silos and all that, so they want to keep livestock on the property. But it's less than 5 acres, so ag residential did not fit the category. So that's why it's commercial rather than another type of zoning.
Okay. Does anyone else have a question then? I have a couple, but. So we're making this a commercial zone then?
It'll be a commercial lot of 3 acres, yep.
Okay. Is this a creative way to get around it?
Sort of.
Is everyone comfortable with this? Okay, then I'll ask for a vote.
Can I just clarify, there was a zoning issue when it was previously, like, when they bought it, it wasn't there. Like, the zoning issue that was,
So it was never caught in the rezoning part, but they always had animals on it ever since 1990s. But the farm, or the 3 acres is set up with a barn, they've always had animals on it. But the bank needs it to be rezoned to be not illegal, non-conforming, so this is a way around it, like you said.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, so it's not new animals or anything like that. It's been
Right,
operating.
had it been zoned originally, this would be a pretty simple matter, would it not?
It was a vacant lot right now, and it's just being created right now, then it'd been a different situation, but we're making it work this way.
Okay. All right, you've heard the explanations in the background. All those in favor of the ordinance, except Mr. Williamson, indicate by saying aye. Aye, opposed. The ordinance is adopted. Number 12, an ordinance relating to a parcel belonging to Gregory Greenheck in the town of Buena Vista. Mr. Kalish.
Ordinance number 21-36, amendment number 543 to zoning ordinance number 5, that the 29.38 acre parcel belonging to Gregory Greenheck in the town of Buena Vista is hereby rezoned from general ag and forestry to agricultural and residential. This ordinance shall be effective December 14, 2021, is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Call. Seconded by Mr. McKee. Background?
The background on this is it's a parcel being split into 2 lots and be 2 buildable residential lots.
Thank you. All right, you've heard the background, you've heard the ordinance. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance is adopted. Thank you. Mr. Bindle, do you have a report on positions for zoning received since the last county board session?
None.
Do you have anything that you're recommending for denial?
None.
Thank you. And you're gonna stay there, I'll bet, for the next one, is that right? No. Number 15, an ordinance amending Richland County zoning ordinance number 5 regarding animal units. And Mr. Kalish, Mr. Wendell had a comment.
Oh, next one.
That's 16, okay. Mr. Kalish, please read the ordinance.
This will be ordinance number 21-37, amendment number 544 to zoning, the zoning ordinance number 5. That the Richland County zoning ordinance number 5, which is ordinance number 2003-16 as amended to date, is hereby further amended as follows. That section 9 entitled definitions for animal unit is repealed and replaced by the following. Item number 4, animal unit. 1, cow, steer, bull, horse, mule, or donkey over 6 months of age, or 2 of any of these animals under 6 months of age. 2 miniatures or ponies, 4 hogs, 10 sheep, 10 goats, 100 poultry, 100 rabbits, or any equivalent combination of the above. Other animals, fowl, or fish type shall be considered on an individual basis on specific application. This ordinance shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the ordinance. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Glassbrenner, and seconded by Mr. Williamson. Can someone from the zoning unit explain this one?
To explain this, it boiled down to there was a complaint about animals, and then there was a long discussion about miniatures being compared to regular horses. Underneath the current zoning ordinance, 1 horse equals 2 animal units. And the current zoning ordinance definitions, animals are based on animal units per weight. And we don't have a scale in the zoning office to weigh animals. So this is an easier way to try and define what an animal really is.
A lot of miniatures out there now. Hobby farmers have miniatures. Okay, does everyone understand this one? Okay, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All those in favor of this zoning ordinance number 5 regarding animal units signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ordinance is adopted. Number 16, an ordinance prohibiting livestock running at large. And I'm going to call on Mr. Wendell, who has a problem with this.
Mr. Chair, it's a self-inflicted problem. I was consulted on the statutory authority on this ordinance, and advised on that. I realize, however, that the enforcement mechanism currently lies with the district attorney. I spoke with DA Harper, and we're both of the opinion that the penalty cited in the ordinance is more appropriately a civil forfeiture than it is a criminal fine. And as such, I would ask that the ordinance be amended under the enforcement provision to read that prosecution shall be undertaken by the corporation counsel as opposed to district attorney.
So do you need a supervisor to make that as an amendment?
That would be what I'm asking for. Yes.
Okay, would someone, Mr. McKee? Oh, it isn't on the floor yet.
No.
Let's get it on
Chair.
the floor.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair,
David?
Mr. Chair, there's another mistake that you made. They've got the wrong committee down. They've got the ordinance offered by the Law Enforcement and Judiciary Committee, but the Highway Committee is listed underneath there.
So I have that as well. Supervisors Severson, Cosgrove, and Luck on the LEJC were the ones who passed this forward. So Supervisors Williamson, Manning, and Cooey should be removed.
Okay. So let's get it on the floor. Motion, Mr. Williamson, and seconded by Mr. Van Landijk. Okay, we have it on the floor. All those in, the amendments. We've got amendments.
Make a motion to amend as specified by Attorney Wendell.
Thank you. And seconded by Mr. McKee. All right, are you including both changes there, David?
Yes.
Okay, and the changes were changing the names of the committee, for one
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And then making it a civil forfeiture rather than
Enforcement by the
criminal.
Corporation Council. instead of
Corporation
district
Council. Okay. All right. Everyone clear what we're doing? I'm not, but we'll go ahead. No, I am. I'm just kidding. An ordinance prohibiting livestock running at large. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. We have an ordinance. Thank
We have
you.
an amendment. So
Oh, we have amendments. Thank gosh, yes.
now we need to vote on the ordinance.
Thank you. Thank you, David. All right, we have the amendments. Now let's vote on the amended ordinance. Got it? All those in favor of the amended ordinance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. All right. Now we have the amended ordinance passed. Thank you. Number 17, a resolution authorizing the Land Records Office to apply for and receive a grant from the Wisconsin Land Records Board. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-145. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the Land Records Office to apply for and receive a Wisconsin Land Records Board grant totaling $128,824, with the work to be completed not later than December 31st of 2023. Be it further resolved that approval is hereby granted for the grant funds to be spent according to the terms of the grant and for the following uses: $60,000 towards the completion of statutorily required benchmarks to create a statewide digital parcel map, $67,824 to develop, maintain, and operate a basic land information system, and for the implementation of Richland County's land information plan, $1,000 for educational and training purposes. Be it further resolved that the county administrator is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county such documents as may be necessary to carry out this resolution. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by Mr. Frank. A lot of money, so we'd be foolish not to apply for this grant, correct? I think we do it frequently, like annually. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have a resolution that is passed. Thank you. Number 18, a resolution approving a contract for building inspector services under the Uniform Dwelling Code. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-146. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the county to enter into a contract with the Wisconsin Municipal Building Inspection LLC of Platteville, whereby that firm will provide building inspector services for the county under this Uniform Dwelling Code for 2022 and 23. Be it further resolved that if the county engages the services of the firm for matters other than inspecting 1 and 2 family dwellings, the hourly rate shall be $60. And be it further resolved that the county administrator is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county such contracts in accordance with this resolution as approved by the Zoning and Land Information Committee. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Zoning and Land Information Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Williamson, seconded by Mrs. Rudersdorf. Yeah. Anyone need any further explanation? Yes, Mr. Frank.
Any idea how many houses, I guess this is 1 and 2 bedroom, that are inspected in a year? Curious when that's decided?
Every year it's about 17 to 20 houses he inspects, but he takes the money in on himself on that. The $60 only if we request him to do something for us. And he's been our building inspector since 2009.
We'd like to see that number quadrupled of new house inspections, but it is what it is right now. All those in favor of approving this contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? No. We have approval. Number 19, a resolution approving a 5-year contract with stray, neglected, or abandoned animals. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-147. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for the county to enter into a contract with Richland Area Rescue, Inc., dealing with the stray, neglected, or abandoned animals, with the contract being for 2022, 23, 24, 25, and 26, with the contract containing the same terms as the existing contract, except that the monthly payment by the county is increased to $1,500. And be it further resolved that Sheriff Clay Porter is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county a contract in accordance with this resolution. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Law Enforcement and Judiciary Committee.
Heard the resolution. What's your pleasure?
Yep.
Mrs. Luck makes these and Mrs. Rudersdorf seconds. And this is, we were paying $1,000 a month. 13, raise it to 15. All right. I'm aware that Sauk County just lowered their annual contract to $120,000. It was considerably more. So we're getting by reasonably. All those in favor of this contract signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have a contract approval. A resolution approving collaboration between Richland County Board of Supervisors and the Richland County Sheriff to conduct biannual alcohol age compliance checks of licensed liquor establishments. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-148. Now therefore be it resolved that in furtherance of these important efforts, I, Sheriff of Richland, of the County of Richland, Wisconsin, and the Board of Supervisors do hereby collaborate to conduct biannual alcohol age compliance checks on licensed liquor establishments and hereby invite the citizens of Richland County to now acknowledge the support of continued strategic efforts to reduce youth access to alcohol and consumption in our county. This resolution is being offered to you by the Law Enforcement and Judiciary Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Rudersdorf, seconded by Mrs. Luck. And
Mr. Chair,
question, Mr. Frank.
I believe that a representative of Partners for Prevention is online and would like to just give us a little brief background.
Yes, okay, thank you. And to whom are we speaking, or
Let her introduce herself.
please introduce yourself.
Hello, I am
Yes.
Julie Proudy. I am the Superintendent and Pupil Services Director at Ithaca School District, and I am also the Alcohol Work Group Representative. And our mission for Partners for Prevention is to focus on youth use and abuse of substances. One of them is alcohol. The Alcohol Work Group focuses on youth and upstream prevention. Rather than waiting until children's brains are affected by alcohol, we want to stop the process. We focus on specific strategies that impact the most people and are sustainable. We're asking you to support our efforts by recognizing and adopting this resolution. Currently, we have a 51% failure rate for the checks that we have completed. We have support of both the police and the sheriff, and we thank them very much for their support. And our next steps are to look at a resolution about the social hosting law and improving safety and alcohol use of youth at our local events. But we do appreciate you giving us this time.
Thank you. Thank you. And I guess I have a question. Does this result in a ticket for the establishment or the bartender or both?
This results in, it's up to the law enforcement official, and it is for the server.
The server, not the establishment. Okay.
Correct.
All right. We do have the motion on the floor, do we not? Yes.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, Mr. Seep. Yes.
Yes.
The chair recognizes Supervisor Seep.
yes, one question. Could you define the alcohol work group? Whom does it consist of, and what's their general mission? And what's the location of the headquarters?
Thank you. Can someone give Mr. Seep the information he seeks? I see no takers here.
If I'm understanding
Howdy,
correctly,
Yes.
Mr. Seep wants more information?
Well, I'd
Well,
like to know something
ahead.
about the alcohol work group.
So our alcohol work group meets monthly, if not more, and we work on reducing youth use of alcohol. The alcohol impacts the child's brain even after one drink. One consumption of alcohol can affect a child's brain, and so we would like to stop it before it gets to ruining their brain, or also before they become an alcoholic. We have lots of stuff for once a person becomes addicted to drugs and alcohol in our county. We don't have very much to prevent and do the upstream work. And you have to start when they're 9, 10, and 11, because that is when most of our youth, I shouldn't say most, I'm sorry, our youth behavior states that 21% of our youth have had their first alcoholic beverage before the age, at the age of 11.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm remiss in not knowing about your organization. Its purposes sound very noble. Is this a local organization? Is it a national organization? Is it
Actually,
public?
yeah, we are part, I'm just one of the work group chairs. We have, we are part of the Partners for Prevention Coalition. The coalition is represented by 12 sectors, education, commerce, clergy, prevention specialists, and we are working on alcohol's just my little thing. I run that work group, but we also have a work group surrounding marijuana use, vaping, and tobacco use. And we are completely data driven. We use the data that the students themselves have given us through the Youth Behavior Risk Survey, and hopefully we'll get better results this time, because I know that Ithaca and Richland Center both took the survey again this fall, and we'll have those results soon. Hopefully our efforts already resulted in some good data to prove that what we're doing is working.
Okay,
Thank
you.
you.
Ms. Howdy.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Seep.
much for what you're doing.
Mr. Seep, I think you should get her number and give her a call. It sounds like maybe you want to be part of this group. But anyway, I'm
Thank
going to
you,
call a
Mr.
vote
Chairman.
on this resolution. Oh, we have another question. Yes, Mr. Carroll.
I am in sympathy with the intent, but I'm not sure what's expected of us to collaborate, other than just passing a resolution.
Would you like me to answer that, sir?
Yes, please do so, Ms. Browdy.
Because we don't, this is not a small thing. This is something that is going to take our county 5 to 10 to 20 years to get in the process and to make it become more of a reality. The perceptions of alcohol use in our county is that the parents are okay with, well, I had a drink or two when I was growing up, and we have to change that perception because now we have the evidence that shows that's not good for kids. And so we have to literally change the perceptions of the adults about alcohol, and your acceptance of this resolution for our work group really solidifies that we are in partnership. We're not doing this and making people do this for us. We are in this all together. And that's what this resolution is allowing us.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Seep.
Ms. Proudy, what is the relationship of your organization to Richland County Health and Human Services? Is it formal?
I'll have to defer to Betsy. I'm sorry. I'm pretty certain that they are part of our coalition, but I'll have to ask Mrs. Ressler to answer that question.
Thank you. I'm interested in the answer.
Okay, someone from the back? Yes? Can't hear you. Please go to a mic. Thank you. And I know Mr. Seep can't hear you.
Hello, Mr. Seep and supervisors.
Yes.
Thank you for supporting this. Your
And
question,
who's speaking?
my name is Betsy Raisler. I'm the
Yes.
Drug-Free Communities Project Coordinator, and I coordinate the work of Partners for Prevention. And his question regarding the relationship between Health and Human Services and our coalition is that they're a strong partner, that the treatment and behavioral health sector is represented by Miranda Culver. She is involved in our planning and helps support the work. And so strong partnership, I guess how I would answer that. But if you'd like more information, I'd be happy to help you with that, help you with any aspects of the work we're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Okay. Okay, I am going to call a vote on this resolution. All those in favor of the resolution approving this collaboration signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have a passed resolution. Number 21, a resolution approving a 3-year jail maintenance contract for the Sheriff's Department. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-149. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for a 3-year jail lock maintenance contract with Piper Power of Merrill, Wisconsin for the years of 2022 through 2024 at a cost of $19,914. And the funds for this contract are already in the Sheriff's Department's 2022 budget. Be it further resolved that Sheriff Clay Porter is hereby authorized to sign on behalf of the county a written contract with Piper Power, which has been approved by LEJC committee. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Law Enforcement and Judiciary Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. McKee, Mr. Cosgrove seconds. And this is the jail maintenance contract. So,
Question?
yes, go ahead, Mr.
So
Clay.
is this a 3-year contract for $19,914, or is this 3 contracts, each of them for $19,914? It looks like it's one contract for 3 years for $19,000.
I think Sheriff Porter is available for comment.
So that's a yearly fee. So each year the fee we pay, or each year of the contract we
we pay that.
Thank you. All right. I'll ask for approval of this resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Opposed, no. We have a resolution. Thank you. Number 22, a resolution granting an access easement to the Richland Hospital, Inc. across the Pine River Recreational Trail. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-150. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that they do grant approval of the attached easement, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This resolution is being offered to you by the county board members of the Parks Commission.
Thank you. What's your pleasure? You've heard the resolution. Mr. Severson, seconded by Tim. This is that easement that we talked about a month ago or 2 months ago, right? This the one?
That's correct,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, and it's all been hammered out then?
It has, I worked with the attorney of the previous owner and now the attorneys representing the Richland Hospital Incorporated. We were able to craft a document that satisfied my concerns relating to the grant of easement, as well as a maintenance agreement that the Parks Commission wanted to see put into the agreement. I am satisfied that the document addresses all the concerns that were raised regarding the rails to trails obligation.
Thank you. And Carrie, you're happy with it?
I believe that the commission is happy with that, yes.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair? can I-
Yes. Who's speaking?
Sean, over here.
Oh, there you are. Sure.
Yeah. Um,
Still having fun.
I just have
There
a
you are.
question about I think it's the maintenance agreement number 6, snowmobile trail use. It says that disruption to trail grooming is to be considered damaged and is to be repaired per the process above. I'm assuming they're gonna build a driveway across the trail. And what sort of damage to trail grooming is the concern? I'm assuming they're gonna plow the driveway, and so that can't be groomed. Is there a concern that some of the damage will happen on either side of the driveway?
I'll ask Mr. Severson to comment on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I don't think that there's any official word on what the easement would be used for. I think they just need that for the properties. Our wording is, so if, say that they needed to use that other side, that property, that if they did plow snow and left humps of snow in the trail and a snowmobile coming along at 40 to 55 miles an hour where to hit those bumps could wreck or cause an accident. It could injure a person. So that would be just like if they did plow snow, that then those humps would have to be taken out and smoothed back out. Or just so that there's nothing there that would obstruct that. And the same thing would also go for pedestrian traffic. So if they didn't pave it and they were taking vehicles across the trail and it was a soft day like it is today currently, and tire tracks were in there and then they were to harden up with the frost, a bicycler were to go on there and bicycle through there and not see that and then could injure themselves also. Part of things, since they damaged it, that they should probably fix that.
Okay,
Okay, thank you. All right, are we ready to vote?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, go ahead. Who is this?
Van Nelson.
Go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
I don't understand why they had to have an easement for this parcel when there's probably 6 or 7 more on down the road they don't have easements. There's easements across my property, or there's roads across my property, 2 or 3 in Gotham and 1 farther down on the road. I don't remember any easements for any of that. Why is this one
Talking
required?
across the snowmobile trail, Van?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anyone want to comment on that? I can't answer it. I'm not a snowmobiler.
So it's the Pine River Recreation Trail he's talking about. And
Recreation.
he does raise up valid points, but this is something that we're starting now, that we realize that it should have been done all along on the trail. So this is we're just starting and breaking ground on this. Eventually, I think the future way in my opinion, would be that the county Parks Commission and Richland County needs to sit down and look at that and look at these easements. Currently, right now, there has been damage that has been sustained to the bike trail at previous times where farmers have utilized that and caused these damages and then left it for for the county to repair at our cost. And with limited funds, I don't think that that's fair. That damage is caused and then we have to pay for it.
So, Mr. Nelson, are you there? Did you hear that answer? I guess the answer, if I can explain it, the answer is, yeah, there ought to be easements for all of those, but hasn't been, but we're starting here with this one.
You don't think there's already been a precedent set by having 6 or 7 already?
Well, I'll refer to Mr. Wendell for that one.
Without knowing specifically what agreements were or were not reached, this would be purely speculation, but it may well be that there's nothing so formal as a written easement in place. It may be an easement by necessity. So, someone owns parcels on either side of the trail. They may have just been using, crossing the trail without a formal easement in place. Simply put, there's just no one out there stopping them. So if there are additional places where there is a frequent crossing of that trail or some use that obstructs it, we are still bound by that Rails to Trails deed. And we would definitely need to look at that to ensure that we're in compliance with our obligations under that deed.
I would have thought
Thank you.
I would have thought that would have been looked into before we wrote this resolution, but
Well,
that's good for now.
all right, thank you.
I can respond to Mr. Nelson's.
Can we vote on this? All those in favor of this resolution granting access easement signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have
Oh,
a resolution. Did you say no, Van?
yes, I did.
Van Nelson voted no. A resolution celebrating the 75th anniversary of Salt Weedle Store. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-151. Now therefore be it resolved, the county board expresses its appreciation to Mr. Saltweedle and his family for their dedication to the people of Casanova and Richland County. And be it further resolved that the county board encourages residents and visitors to continue to support businesses like Saltweedle Store. Be it further resolved that the county clerk is directed to send a copy of this resolution to Mr. Saltweedle, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by the Rules and Resolutions Committee.
Thank you. You've heard
Mr. Chairman, I'm honored to move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Seep. And do I have a second? Mr. McKee. And this is a little store in, where's it at? Oh, yeah, Casanova, right down? Yeah.
It's the biggest store in Casanova.
Yes, I've been in it. And I think that was featured in the paper a couple of weeks back, so it was great. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution carries. A resolution celebrating Native American Heritage Month, Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-152. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county board hereby celebrates Native American Heritage Month. And be it further resolved that the county board encourages residents to learn about and embrace the historical and cultural contributions of Native Americans in Richland County. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Rules and Resolutions Committee.
All right, you've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Van Landijk and Mrs. Rudersdorf seconds. Any comments? All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have a resolution celebrating Native American Heritage Month. Number 25, a resolution extending the time period for the Strategic Planning Committee to develop and present a finalized county strategic plan. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-153. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County that by the Richland County Board that the Richland County Strategic Planning Committee shall gather input from all stakeholders to continue the development of the strategic plan and create a final plan for presentation to the county board by the end of the 2020 to 2022 county board session. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Strategic Planning Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Glassbrenner makes this motion and Mr. Williamson seconds. I said, yes, I think that's appropriate. I don't think anyone would argue. Big job. All those in favor of extending the time period signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No. The resolution is adopted. A resolution creating a countywide branding project and process. Mr. Kalish.
All right, this will be resolution number 21-154. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that a county branding process be conducted, and be it further resolved that the branding process be facilitated by Director Jason Glassburner, Richland Economic Development, Kate Koziel from Southwest Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, and Kristen Mitchell, professional consultant at Kristen Mitchell Designs, or their representatives. And be it further resolved that the Richland County Board Supervisors that the County Branding Committee is hereby created with the composition of the committee of 9 people, being as follows: 2 county board members, one of whom will serve as a chair, 2 county department heads, 3 community members composed of a high school student, a business sector representative, and a representative of the art, and then 2 village representatives. Be it further resolved that all county branding committee members are to be appointed by the county board, and be it further resolved that the duties of the branding committee are as follows: to bring insight to the process from people and profession that they support, to help identify good processes for public input, to spread the news of this effort while speaking positively and supportively of the process. The committee helps shape the process and may provide insights on design elements, but they themselves do not create design or dictate what the brand will be or tell the design consultant what to do. The branding consultant is responsible for helping to facilitate a process that allows the consultant to develop and create a brand that is representative of all the input they receive and the entity they are designing for. And they are also to provide a recommendation of a final county branding manual for full adoption and implementation by county board. This resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Rules and Resolutions Committee.
Thank you. What's your pleasure? You've heard the resolution. Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by Mr. Gotchel. And I'm aware that there may be a change here. Were you successful, Mr. Murphy?
No,
Lopez?
I did not get an additional name for a high school student, so,
Okay.
I'm not gonna make a motion to amend like we
All
talked
right,
about last night.
all right. Mr. Carroll,
The resolution says that it will be funded by US EDA fund grant, but what exactly do they think the estimated cost would be?
okay, I'm gonna turn to Mr. Glassbrenner, our Economic Development Director, who's heading up this committee, and ask for comment. The question was money. Where's it coming from?
Yeah, it's coming from the United States Economic Development Administration's grant that we wrote for flood resiliency and economic resiliency due to disaster. That grant was awarded in 2020. So as to the estimated cost of this, they vary greatly. If you hire a very high level professional consulting firm to do this, that is nationally renowned, you're probably looking at someplace in the area of $30,000. This particular consultant is local to our area, so has a very good handle on our culture and our ways, and has done work for other municipalities in our area. I would estimate that she would probably charge someplace in the area of $10,000 for a process like this. So those are estimates, but the cost exactly has not been talked about.
And while you're there, Jason, to the casual observer, one would wonder, well, why do we have to spend $10,000 on this? And perhaps you could go over the background, how we have 17 different badges right now. And
Yeah, so if it's possible, Clint, could you pull that slide really quick? So as far as, I think we'll jump ahead to some of the slides. So I think it's one. So hard to see that on that. But on that first slide there, you can kind of see some of the different branding elements that are present, everything from the flag or the quilt that was embroidered for Farm Progress Days to the signage that's out in front of the courthouse to the heading on our website. Next slide. You can see the branding elements on the side of our highway building versus, well, that's the sign that's covered right there, is a little different text and a little different branding on the sign that's in front of the building. Next. So there's the sign again on the left. You have the sign on the truck door, and you have another element of branding to the right that was being looked at as kind of a redo on the branding on the truck doors. Next. You have the Fairgrounds. You have a couple of different branding elements there, different text, different ways of presenting. The one on the left, the one on the right has got the 4-H emblem, and again, different fonts, different text. Go ahead. Here's other branding elements, including the one that's used for my office, Pine Valley, and the Richland County. What is that one? That's the
Simons and Richland County Community Forest.
yeah, Community Forest, and then the Richland County Ambulance. So you can see that we don't really have a brand. We don't have a common text. We don't have a common logo for things that are used throughout the county. Next slide. Again, Health and Human Services, another sign that would be represent county there at the Health and Human Services sign itself, and then the lettering on the building. Let's see what the next one is. Those are just headings from the website. This is an example of what's happening with Richland Center itself. So this process would take both Richland Center and Richland County through the process, would allow some collaboration between the two so that you don't end up with two brands highly contradictory, but that they actually work together between the county and the county seat. So why do you do it? Back up one, back to the Nike. You do it so that everything you do in the county is recognized. You do it so that you look unified. You do it for pride of your constituents. You do it for the recognition of those that may become residents or businesses that would want to locate to Richland County. So there's a lot of reasons to do it. Next. You can see recent branding efforts from like Lafayette County there. Go next. And how what they developed was a family of brands, basically. So you can see the little barn in Lafayette County on the left, that's land information. Come down and you have emergency medical services, and it's got a little different tweak, so it offers a little bit of differentiation depending on the department, but it's called family of branding. Go ahead. That you can't see, but that's entrance into Lafayette County. Next. This is just some work that the consultant has done. The one on the right is Lancaster, Pecatonica Pride. Next. Broadhead. She's done work in Broadhead. You can see kind of the different ways that it's used. So I think that probably answers the question. It's to create some unity and some professional appearance. Again, it's a rallying point for our constituents. Should be an attraction point for those people that we would like to live here in Richland County.
Thank you. Mr. Frank?
Mr. Chairman.
So a couple of questions quick. So Richland Center is doing this, Richland County is doing this. Are we looking at two different brandings, or are we looking at a common theme branding that's going to be shared and agreed on?
Would be complementary. They would not be the same. That's fairly untypical for a county. A brand the same as its county seat, even though, because we have other villages and townships and things like that that may brand different. As a matter of fact, Lone Rock is probably going to move through a similar process under this USEDA grant. But I like to say that the goal is so that you don't end up with one brand that's fluorescent orange and one that's fluorescent green. You know, you want them to work together, and That's the goal of having both the county and the city move at the same time. The first meeting of these branding committees would involve the committee of the city and the committee of the county. That they can compare notes and discuss things, and the branding agent can then take that information, try to work it so that county brand and the city brand acts as a family in itself.
Mr. Seep, you had a comment?
Yes, I have basically a hypothetical question. Suppose that the county chose to have some version of the courthouse as a logo, which is prominently identified on letterheads and other places. Would a subtitle for each department or whatever, highway department or whatever, as you've shown with Lafayette County, if you use the courthouse, hypothetical question, would that somehow exclude, or would the city of Richland Center feel uncomfortable with the county courthouse as a overarching logo, since this is a county brand, county-wide brand, and the city is part of the county?
Well, I think Mr. Glassbender's already answered that. He said each city and entity in the county, maybe Lone Rock, maybe Richland Center, will have probably its own logo, but it'll be complementary.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right. Mr. Carroll?
What timeline do you anticipate?
Providing this is passed tonight, the city's already passed their element, and we are looking to set up the first branding committee meetings in, I think it was the second week of January. Trying to get through all the holidays and we'll kick it off. Oh, and the length, as far as the length, it's probably going to take around 3 months. But that timeline will be established both by the committees, some of the committee input, because we're looking for how broad we want to cast the net in order to receive public input. So that's something that could change the length of the process. So just depends how fast we move and get some of those things done. But I think 3 months is a good guess.
Corp Counsel has a comment?
A question, actually. There's a cost associated with this. Just for clarification, are the community members who are serving on this compensated in any way? Or this would be service as a volunteer basis?
I had not anticipated that. I don't know the answer to that. At this point, there's nothing, to my knowledge, that would be compensation for this, so it would be volunteer.
My concern is that with a high school student present, we want to make sure that we're in compliance with all labor laws and such.
Good point. Mr. Williamson, did you have a scratch in your head? Okay, all right. Anybody else? Okay, I think we're ready to vote on this. All those in favor of the branding committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no? All right, we have a committee. Now we're gonna populate that committee here a little bit later. Stick some names in those slots. All right, a resolution authorizing Richland County to enter into settlement agreements, agree to the terms of the MOU allocating settlement proceeds, and authorize an entry into MOU with the Attorney General. Mr. Kalish.
So this will be resolution number 21-155. And Mr. Chair, I think we should defer to Administrator Langrick for an overview of this, given the information that's in the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Langrick.
Resolution presented to you today is comes down to us through Wisconsin Counties Association and their representations from Von Briesen. It includes then the two MOUs and then an agreement to the Janssen settlement agreement, which is the overall state level agreement that was agreed to upon. So this kind of affirms from a county's perspective that we agree with the settlement type of conditions and that we agree into the format of which we're going to enter and settle, as then funds will be passed down to the state, to us. Those are kind of the different elements here, and then granting authorization for myself to sign into those. And Attorney Wendell, did I miss anything on those?
No, that's everything.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, you've heard the explanation. Are you ready to vote? All those in favor of us entering this settlement agreement signify by saying
We need a
aye.
first and second.
Excuse me? Yeah, we don't have it before the board yet. So what's your pleasure? You've heard the resolution?
I move
Yeah,
for
the
approval.
resolution. Thank you, Mr. Seep. Second. Mr. Cosgrove. All right, then now we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have approval. All right, number 28, a resolution authorizing the Tri-County Airport Commission to proceed with acquisition of property and property right-of-way for the airport drainage project, better known as the Williamson Canal. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-156. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that authorizes the Richland County Airport Commission to proceed with property and property right acquisitions as attached appendices to this resolution. There's a warranty deed for Steadfast Acres, a warranty deed for Green Heck Farms Limited Partnership, a permanent limited easement for Hartung Farms LLC, and a temporary limited easement for Hartung Farms. There's a permanent limited easement, Gerald's Farm LLC, and a permanent limited easement for Garrett's Farm LLC, one in Richland County, one in Sauk County. There's a warranty deed for Gerald and Margaret E. Sprecher Revocable Living Trust, and a temporary limited easement to Gerald and Margaret E. Sprecher Revocable Living Trust. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication, and is being offered to you by the Tri-County Airport Commission.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Williamson makes the motion, seconded by Mrs. Ruttersdorf. And do we need any explanation here? The project is underway. Property is being acquired. It's where the big ditch is going to go. Mr. Carroll.
I'm not clear, are there some properties where we're just getting an easement, others where we're actually purchasing the
Yes.
property?
Yes,
Okay, thanks.
and it depends on what basically the property owner wanted. And it's basically no difference in cost. It's just the same, I guess. Isn't that correct? Zoning.
It can relate back to zoning
All
in the
right.
parcel. If they sell that, then now they may not have it. They may not no longer have a legal parcel.
But what it boils down to is the property has to be acquired to be attached to the airport in order for the federal and state dollars to be used for this project. It's quite complicated, but it's going to work.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Seep.
a question for council. I understand, is my understanding correct that these easements are in perpetuity?
Some of them are temporary. They are designated as such. Item D and item H are temporary.
Some of those are in context of doing the project itself and project complete, then we don't need access to get across that land or to be able to manipulate it. So that's the intentions of the temporary.
I understand. Thank you.
All right. All right, you've heard the resolution. We have it on the floor. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed,
Aye.
no. We have the resolution adopted. Then number 29, a resolution granting Tri-County drainage system easement to Hartung Farms. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-157. Be it further therefore resolved that the Richland County Board grants Tri-County drainage system easement to Hartung Farms in accordance with the drainage easement agreement addendum A is attached to this resolution. And be it further resolved that the Richland County Board authorizes the Richland County Administrator to sign into the agreement on behalf of Richland County. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. And this resolution is also being offered to you by the Tri-County Airport Commission.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Williamson, seconded by Mr. Cosgrove. And this is simply, I would guess, more ongoing requirements here.
This is an easement to allow the water to be put into the canal. Part of the requirements for the canal and getting the federal funding kind of stipulated that it had to be specific to draining the airport and not just the surrounding area. With this project and this easement, we've received kind of a blessing past that, though, with the expectation that allowing this easement and the water to go into the canal actually stops it from moving to the airport to enter the canal system to then go on its way. So this does not impact the grant and the funding.
Thank you. All right, all those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We have approval. Number 30, a resolution approving a contract for air ventilation cleaning in the courthouse building. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-158. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby given for a project consisting of air ventilation system cleaning in the Richland County Courthouse to the bid of Dirty Ducks Cleaning and Environmental Inc. of Madison, Wisconsin, in the following amount of $14,082. Be it further resolved that funding for this project shall be covered through Wisconsin Department of Justice Coronavirus Emergency Supplement Grant. And be it further resolved that the county administrator shall have authority to enter into a contract with Dirty Ducks Cleaning and Environmental Inc. of Madison, Wisconsin, and has authorization of up to $2,000 in contingency expenses for this project. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Property, Building, and Grounds Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by Williamson. This is a good deal. And it's going to be covered under the fund. All those in favor of this contract approval signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. A resolution approving the purchase and installation of air purification equipment. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-159. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby given for the purchase and installation of air purification equipment in the Richland County Courthouse from Precision Controls of Richland Center, Wisconsin, in the amount of $42,535. Be it further resolved that funding for this project shall be covered through Wisconsin Department of Justice Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Grant. And be it further resolved that the county administrator shall have authority to enter into a contract with, that should say Precision Control. Yep. And Precision Controls of Richland Center, Wisconsin, and his authorization of up to $5,000 in contingency expenses for this project. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This is being offered to you by Property, Building, and Grounds Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Van Landijk and Mrs. Glassbrenner seconds. Again, a good deal. Yes, please.
I just wanted to say thank you. I believe it was Clerk of Court Stacy Kleiss who applied for these grants and got them for us on behalf of the entire courthouse. So
Yes, Stacy Kleiss, I believe, was instrumental in getting these grants, so she's to be commended for their work. Mr. Carroll.
Treat this as a typo also then?
Yes.
Okay, typo correction. All right, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. A resolution number 32, a resolution amending the Richland County Employee Handbook, Pine Valley Addendum, Health and Human Services Addendum, and FMLA policy. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-160. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that these policy changes are hereby adopted. Item number 1, the Richland County Handbook changes recommended through the Administrative Transition Committee related to the transition to an administrative form of government. Item number 2, Pine Valley Addendum changes specifying care facility administrator from county administrator. Item number 3, Health and Human Services Addendum 2023 changes impacting the carryover of on-call compensatory time. Compensatory time. Item number 4, FMLA policy changes regarding the inclusion of a county administrator. Be it further resolved that these amended policies are available at the Richland County Clerk and Administrator Office and will be available on the Richland County website. And be it further resolved that the Richland County employees will be made aware of these changes through their department management. Be it further resolved that the resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication with policy impacts immediately in effect unless specified by another date. This is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Call, seconded by Mr. McKee. Comments or questions? Maybe Mr. Langrick, give us some background here.
Item number 1 with the Richland County Handbook changes. These are changes that were initiated through the Administrative Transition Committee, again, related to the transition in authorities and decisions on what should be kind of pushed towards administration versus towards committees, brought through Finance and Personnel to the meeting tonight. The Pine Valley one is, again, the specification on the facility administrator versus county administrator, as the addendum just stated administrator. Your Health and Human Services Board addendum changes the carryover on-call compensatory time for this, not this coming year, but then into the following year, which on-call compensatory time will be treated like other compensatory times, where it will be paid out in the year that it was earned. FMLA policy, again, is related to the changes of a county administrator typically filling in for places where Finance and Personnel Committee or county clerk was placed. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Seep.
could Mr. Langreck address the administrative impact of the compensatory time issue?
Mr. Langrick, did you hear Mr. Seep's comment?
The administrative impact?
Yes.
Yes.
Going forward into the next year, we'll have to continue to do the, so how it works with compensatory time is if you earn it in this taxable year and then you allocate and use it in another year, we have to go back and manipulate WRS earnings. And I believe it might touch other withholdings and possibly taxes, several different functions that it has to hit. So when this compensatory time is brought forward in order to maintain compliance with IRS concurrent receipt, and again, with WRS, we have to do a lot of manual manipulations as well as sending reports into WRS. So this will be something that'll still have to be carried into 2022, but then effective in 2023, going into that next year, it will be paid out at the end of the year as a compensable amount, and we don't have to carry it forward then and go back and administratively change everything in the past. So it will be one more year of some paperwork and such, and the mindset of that being carried forward was to allow those employees that are earning it a year to use and expend and have a fair heads up that it's coming to an end. But it does come with some administrative strain for another year yet in allowing this policy to go forward.
Thank you. Did you hear the explanation, Mr. Seep?
Yes, I
Yeah.
would conclude then that it takes a good deal of administrative staff time on the part of
For another year.
personnel.
It's extensive in hours per use of it, yes.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this? All those in favor of the resolution amending the employee handbook, Pine Valley addendum, Health and Human Services addendum, and FMLA policy, and signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We have a resolution adopted. A resolution number 33, approving wage schedule updates and placement of exception employees. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-161. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that they adopt the 2022 Richland County General and Pine Valley wage schedules, and be it further resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the following exception employees be placed on the wage schedule as follows. Number 1, Andrea Fields, Victim Witness Coordinator, shall be moved to grade G, step 6 at $22.18 per hour, effective the first payroll of 2022. Carissa Nimitz, Highway Clerk, shall be moved to grade F, step 7 at $20.64 an hour, effective the first payroll of 2022. And Sharon Pacehold, HHS Business Systems Analyst, shall be moved to grade H, step 7 at $24.65 per hour, effective the first payroll of 2022. Be it further resolved that these amended policies are available at the Richland County Clerk and Administrator offices and will be available on the Richland County website. Be it further resolved that the Richland County employees will be made aware of these changes through their department management. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication with policy and wage impacts going into effect as specified by policy and resolution. And this is being offered to you by Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thank you. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Gotchel, seconded by Mrs. Rudersdorf. And Mr. Langrick, care to comment?
Two of these employees' positions during the last Carlson assessment were assessed where their current grades being above and beyond the steps on the grade that their position was assigned. Another position, I think there was a discrepancy with where the position was posted at the time of employment of recruiting the employee. So essentially, these three employees were carrying administratively of being exceptions to the current wage schedules. With moving forward, as the resolution says, adopting the 7% increase to wage schedules as we had budgeted for on the Carlson scales, that puts these employees then down into the wage grades. So it is the mindset then that each of these employees will move to a step to generate about a 2% increase, or what a one step on a schedule would be. And then moving forward, we'll have to make decisions then as we try to attempt to allow the rest of the folks on the general wage schedule a step, what we would like to do with these folks next year, and granting potentially another step. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. It seems that our step system requires periodic tweaking of various employees. I guess that's not to be unexpected. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. All right, we have reclassified some salaries, position steps. Okay. Number 34, a resolution approving the 2022 budget approved reclassifications. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 21-162. Now therefore be it resolved, the Richland County Board of Supervisors adopts the following reclassifications. Number one, elderly benefit specialist at Health and Human Services from grade G to grade H. A disability benefit specialist from Health and Human Services from grade G to grade H. Financial specialist and caseworker in child support from grade F to grade G, and change the title to financial specialist and caseworker from child support worker. MIS technical support specialist in MIS from grade F to grade H, and change title to MIS technical support specialist from MIS assistant. Be further resolved that all employees holding these positions at the time of reclassification will assume the pay step in the new grade matching that of the previous grade with the ability of continued progression according to this policy. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication with policy and classification impacts effective the first pay period of 2022. This resolution is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mr. Turk, and do I have a second? Mrs. Ruderstorff. And explanation, Mr. Langrick.
Mr. Chair, these were all kind of considered again through the budget process. Their revised position descriptions were sent off through Carlson Detman, recommendations that did come back, and again went through Finance and Personnel Committee.
Thank you. So some more adjustments, Mr. Gotchel.
Mr. Langrick, were other positions considered, or just these four because they're different now?
These were the four positions that there were several that I was not interested in going to bat for this year. So these are the ones that I kind of identified with the department heads as being of most appropriate to try to address as we incrementally try to attack our different positions.
Okay. When the employee moves from grade G to grade H, for example, where are they placed on grade H?
It'll be in the same grade that they hold now. I think all these positions are held by employees that are currently on step 4, so it would be a transition to step 4 on the next grade up. So is this the official process for regrading? We would go to the consultant. First, they would filter through you. You would check for validity in your opinion, then they would go to the consultant. Is that the official process for the county? Yes, I don't think we have it captured in policy right now, Supervisor Gotcho, but the intentions is to do it in conjunction with the beginnings of the budgeting process, so that we can account for it with dollars and cents on the front end. And as well, then these also kind of came into that decision process on, if we do this, it's going to cost this much. If we don't want to do that, then it, frees up these other funds, or vice versa. If we do this, how are we going to fund it, and what else might have to come off the table? Does that answer your question, Mr. Supervisor Gotcho?
Okay, satisfied with the explanation? I'll call for a vote then. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. And now we get down to number 35. A resolution awarding recipients of the Richland County Early Childhood Education and Child Care Providers, ARPA grant. Mr. Kalish.
This will be resolution number 21-163. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the following Richland County providers are granted the following in efforts to assist the community with increased accessibility of care and increased safety of care in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. 1, Bethlehem Lutheran Church in the amount of $116,220. Number 2, Discovery Play School in the amount of $75,000. Number 3, Ithaca School District in the amount of $100,724. And number 4, Amanda Wagner Welsh in the amount of $43,154.16. Be it further resolved that these funds be distributed for use according to the proposed projects and by the understandings confirmed through the self-certification portion of the applications. And be it further resolved that administration will work with County Corporation Council to produce a grant award letter in which grant recipients will enter into prior to receiving the funds. And be it further resolved that administration will be responsible for tracking and reporting provider expenditures to the Finance and Personnel Committee and U.S. Treasury. Be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective upon its passage and publication and is being offered to you by the Finance and Personnel Committee.
You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I think there's a typo in Amanda's last name. It should be Walsh versus Welsh.
Yes. Can we correct that, please? Yep. All right, we'll accept that as a typo. Mr. Cosgrove makes the motion. Do we have a second? Mr. Van Landijk. And thank you, Jamie and Amanda, for sitting there. Didn't he warn you that these meetings take a while? He must not have. So we've been very patient. All right, we have a resolution. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Congratulations, Walshes. I'll be in for my chocolates real soon. Number 36, resolution approving a new 2022 contract for the Health and Human Services Department. Mr. Kalish.
Resolution number 21-164. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted for a new 2022 contract with Shea Rehabilitation Psychological Services, DBA Kickapoo Counseling in Westby in the amount of $100,000 to provide comprehensive community services to consumers being served by the Behavioral Health Services Unit. Be it further resolved that the Health and Human Services Board is hereby authorized to amend any of the above contracts by not more than 15%. Be it further resolved that the Director of Health and Human Services Department, Ms. Tracy Thorson, is hereby authorized to sign the above contracts on behalf of Richland County in accordance with this resolution. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. And this resolution is being offered to you by the County Board Supervisor members of the Health and Human Services Board.
Thank you, Mr. Kalish. You've heard the resolution. What's your pleasure? Mrs. Rudersdorf, seconded by Mrs. Glassbrenner. Any explanation required? All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The resolution is adopted. Number 37, appointments to various boards, commissions, and committees. Can you handle this, Mr. Langrick?
I can, I think I would feel more comfortable. I know it's very late, but if we could recess for just a few minutes to get, to call a committee on committees together to confirm their intentions on, their recommendations on one position, I think it would be the,
I agree. I will
way.
call a brief recess, but I need the committee and committee members up here. Thank you.
I did not publish, there is not one that published.
Thank you.
Okay.
We decided to take no changes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, if, I'm not sure if we have any.
Yes, Mr. Langrick, if you have a list of that Cheryl took last night during our meeting, I would appreciate the recitation.
I do, Mr. Chair. We'll be looking then today for the county board to confirm the following appointments for boards, commissions, and committees. For the Commission on Aging and Disability Board, seating Charlie Leffler and Julie Cervantes. For the Comprehensive Community Services Coordination Committee, or CCS Coordination Committee, new members seating Charlie Hillman, Eddie Arneson, Allison Berger. For the Coordinated Services Team, CST Coordinating Committee, seating new member Brianna Turk. For the Fair and Recycling Committee, seating two new members, Gary Deaver and Sandy Campbell. For the LAJC Committee, seating new member, Mr. Melvin Frank. For the Branding Committee, that we took action on.
Mr., why don't we take those separately, as we did in committee? In other words, I'll accept a motion on the appointments, and then we'll take the Branding Committee separately.
Okay.
So, you heard those appointments. May I have a motion? Mr. Cosgrove, seconded by Ms. Gentis. All right, you heard the appointments. Can you approve them? If so, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, we have those appointments taken care of. Now, let's go to the Branding Committee.
And for the Branding Committee, and to confirm with Director Glassbrenner, this is going to be, division is about 3 meetings, possibly 4, that you'll be getting together. I'm looking to place then today to the seats Supervisor Tim Gotchel, Supervisor Steve Carroll, Commissioner Josh Elder, Director Tracy Thorson, Treasurer Jeffrey Even, Gene Nix representing Boaz, Alicia Town representing our high school student from Weston, Marty Richards, Business Sector Representative, and then Marilyn Hauk as the Art Representative. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. You've heard the appointments to the Branding Committee. They're gonna catch cattle and stick a hot iron on. Oh, no, it's not that kind of branding. That's right. If you approve those appointments, signify by saying aye. Aye. We didn't have a motion? Oh, Linda moves. I was making my branding joke, so sorry. And Mr. Van Landite seconds. Now we can vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. We have a committee. We've had the audit review report. Brings us to correspondence.
I have one note for you tonight, Mr. Chair. In front of everybody, you should have received a couple, we're now hiring. If you can help us solicit these, as many of you know, we have over 20 positions posted right now for Richland County. Friends, families, families of friends, and friends of families. If you can have them take their GWiz smartphone and go to camera function and put it on that little fancy thing, there's a name for them. It'll pull up our recruiting page and we can fill up our positions.
It's a QCR code.
QCR code. Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. And he's answering not as corporate counsel, but as someone under age 40. So,
Mr. Chair, may I make an announcement?
yes, you may. And who's
This is
asking?
Sean Murphy Lopez.
Yes, Mr.
So-
You're right behind this.
I'm sorry, yeah, I'm hiding
but
today.
Go ahead.
So on behalf of the Rules and Resolutions Committee, I sent out an email last Monday, December 6th. That was with the whole county board. And it's about a series of webinars that the Wisconsin Counties Association is offering. They've already conducted 2 out of the 4 webinars, but the 3rd and the 4th ones are taking place in January. The 3rd one is on county board rules and rules of decorum and procedural rules. So it'd be a great webinar to attend if you're the chair of a committee, or if you're wondering how meetings are conducted and how you should play your role as a member of a committee or the county board. And then the 4th one is conducting the county organizational meeting. And so for folks who are running for election for the next term, that might be a really good one to attend as far as how that organizational meeting takes place. They've had time for questions on these webinars, and these are also recorded and placed on their website. So we just encourage county board members to educate themselves, especially if they're interested in those topics.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's avail ourselves of that. Wisconsin Counties Association is an excellent organization. I don't think we could do our job without them. So they give us all kinds of correct and helpful advice. So that brings us to, did anyone want to read the letter, State of Wisconsin recognizing, and I'll read it. The Department of Health congratulates Richland County Health Human Services for demonstrating the infrastructure and program capacity to be certified as a level 2 health department. I'm happy to report Richland County and Health and Human Services provided all services required by statute and rule. It goes on to say they appreciate the support of our County Health and Human Services Board, and pandemic response has potentially caused you to think about public health issues you may not have even considered. Boy, they're not kidding. I am sure with ongoing support for evidence-based quality public health initiatives by you, your fellow Board of Health members, Richland County Health and Human Services Department will continue to protect and promote the health of the people in your jurisdiction. That letter makes me very proud of the work that has been done. So they did in the second paragraph, I skipped over it, but they acknowledged the work of Rose Cahoot, health officer, who did an excellent job providing quality evidence of meeting statute and rules. So that's a real feather in the cap of the community. So brings us down to item number 40. And I'll accept a motion. Mr. McKee, seconded by Mrs. Rudersdorf. You're right lined up there. It's all those in favor of adjournment to our January meeting, which will be on
18th,
calendar.
Mr. Chair.
18th of January. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.